Welcome back to Dirty Garage Mods. I am Daniel, and in today's video I am going to be doing struts, front struts on the Pontiac G6, as well as lower control arms, sway bar links, and I'm going to do the tie rods also, but that's usually something pretty simple, so I'm not even going to film that. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to do that today or not. But anyways, I'm going to take you through the steps that I use to change all of this out. I have to get this done today because it's going in the alignment shop tomorrow, so at least that's the plan. So anyways, hang tight, and I will show you guys the steps that I do to get it to where it needs to be. Alright, so what you want to do first is you want to remove your ABS wire, which mine is junk anyhow, it don't matter, it don't work. But remove that, and there is a, I want to say it's probably 10 millimeter, looks like it, 10 millimeter nut probably, we'll find out for sure here in a minute, that holds the brake line bracket on. So you'll want to remove that. Once you remove that, then you got your sway bar link. You'll have to remove that, and your two strut bolts, and then the the three bolts on top. So bear with me, and I'll cut back in here in a minute, and I'll show you what all I use. So first one's going to be a 10 millimeter over here. I already disconnected my electrical. It's going to get loud, so keep that in mind. So you may not be able to hear me over this or the air compressor. So. Actually came right off with no problem. Now I'll probably have to drive that out with a hammer. And this one up here is going to be your 18 millimeter. Okay, so I got the two nuts here loose. Did it by hand, got them loose. This one here, the sway bar link, I got to think about it. I don't even need to loosen it because I'm going to end up, I'm replacing the whole thing anyhow, so I'm just going to sawzall it off. It don't matter if I cut into other stuff like the A-arm or whatever, or the control arm, because it's been replaced also. So, yeah, so anyways, I'll cut back in here in just a few minutes. I'm going to get something out that can cut this bar in half, and it'll just make my life easier. So I'll be right back. Okay, so there you have it. I cut that in half, so that's out of the way. If you have to do it that way, make sure you wear the proper safety glasses and whatever safety gear you may need for it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Threw some sparks, burned my hand a little bit, but not bad. Also, I will include a link down below of the air compressing cutter thing that I use. I can't think what it's called offhand, but there'll be a link for that. And there'll be a link for all these parts that I use in this build. I got a really good deal on it on Amazon through Detroit Axle. I've ordered parts through that company many times before, and they've always been good about getting my parts to me right away. So you ain't going to get a better deal than that. I will tell you, I paid $250 for this complete kit. It's the both struts, both lower control arms, both outer tie rods, both inner tie rods, both sway bar links, and the plastic things that go over the inner tie rods. I'm not going to be using the inner tie rods because mine are still good, so I'm not worried about that. But it does come in as a kit for $250. If you go to your local auto parts store, you're looking at spending a minimum $400 for all these parts. So $250 with free shipping is a damn good deal. So anyways, but yeah, I will go ahead and get back to this, getting this strut loose and all that, and I'll show you the steps in putting it in, so hang tight. Alright, so I got these loose. Something I learned, you don't want to just take the nut off and then try to drive these out. You use the nut to your advantage. It helps get them out without smashing up the bolt end. So alright, so get them out just a little bit. Oh, see, and I like it when they pop loose like that. That makes it so much easier. The bolts just pop loose out of my old vehicle, my van. You couldn't get the bolts to pop loose like that at all. They'd get stuck. That you'd have to drive them out. It was a pain in the butt. Of course, you know, that's just because this side's coming apart doesn't mean the other side's going to come apart as easy. But I'll be doing that off camera because I'm only doing one side, so on camera. So just keep on working it out a little bit at a time. Use that nut to your advantage. And sometimes you gotta just take the nut completely off and pull it out, and there you go. It all comes out. Alright, and I'll take you guys up top and show you the next part here. We'll go from there. Alright, so here we are again, back on the top. We are going to be popping this loose. So the top nuts are 13 millimeter. Alright, so you get your top 3 nuts are 13 millimeter, at least on my vehicle they are. They should be on everything else. In this strut kit will come with brand new nuts, so that won't be a problem. So now the fun part begins, is trying to get it out. So I'm going to cut off the camera for a minute because I'm going to have to figure that out, so bear with me. Alright, just a little heads up. The axle nut, CV axle nut, is going to be a 36 millimeter. I do not have that on hand right now. I'm going to have that here in a little bit. It's on its way. You will have to remove the brake caliper, the rotor, the caliper support arm, all that crap. And you're going to have to remove the tie rod and then the ball joint to get to the lower control arm. I hung the brake caliper up through the shock strut hole, so that's out of the way. So yep, so we'll continue here in a minute. It feels like it's raining. I hope not. May have to pull out the waterproof camera, so you will have to see. So hang tight and I'll be back. Alright, so your tie rod, your tie rod is going to be an 18 millimeter socket, so hopefully it won't spin through. And it didn't spin through. It actually came out with no problem. The new tie rods come with new nuts, so that ain't a big deal if you mess it up a little bit or whatever. But I usually hold on to the nuts. You never know when you need them. You just want to take your hammer. Hammer, get the tie rod, get it out of the way, then you're on to the ball joint. So it's going to be a 15 millimeter on this side for the nut, and on the front side of it It's going to be a 17 millimeter. So try to keep that stuff together because you're going to need it when reinstalling. I'll put that in my magnetic bowl up there with my brake parts. And then for the ball joint, you're going to need a pickle fork and a good sledgehammer. So I'll get that. You get your pickle fork, you get it there between the rubber and the mount. Start driving it in there as carefully as possible. Of course, I'm not trying to really save this boot, so it don't matter. A lot easier if you have the CV out of the way. I'll do that off camera. It's just caught on the threads, and it's easier to take apart than what you would think. So, but anyways, I'm kind of on a standstill right now because I'm waiting for a CV axle nut to get here. So, I'll cut back in. So I ended up setting up my gazebo. So, this is the one bolt I'm having trouble with. Everything else is loose. Everything's out of the way. The engine mount or transmission mount, whatever this is, engine mount is what it is in the way. So what I'm gonna have to do is, I got the car sitting on a jack stand. I'm gonna take my jack and put it up underneath the front of it, and I'm gonna jack the engine up. But after I get it set where I need it, I'm gonna go ahead and take these engine mount bolts loose. So hang tight, and we'll be right back with that. There's that. It's out of the way. Now the fun part is getting this lower control arm completely out. Just takes a little bit of force of the hammer, and then it's out of the way. Actually, that wasn't even the bad side, but if you're going to do it all. Okay, now the only other thing I have to do is I need to cut this off if I can't get it loose, which I'll probably just cut it off. That'll be a lot easier. Cut that off, get it out of the way, and then I can start putting in the new lower control arm and the strut and just start reassembling everything. So hang tight. I'll come back to you guys here in just a few minutes. I'm going to get the stuff I need to get this done and then start putting everything together. So here we are, we're back. This was a chore right here, taking this sway bar link off. I kind of boogered up the mount for it, but it still isn't bad. So, but now we are back to putting stuff together. So, providing I didn't confuse my bolts, we should be good to go. So I went ahead and took the tie rod off, and this is the old one here, and here's the new one. So they are the same. I didn't have to back this nut off actually, so that was a plus. And of course, when it goes in for alignment tomorrow or next day, it won't matter. They'll adjust it accordingly. So just go ahead and put that on there like so. Get it all snugged up there. And I used a 22 millimeter to back this nut loose. I never put the new nut on. I always just used the factory one that was there. And then I used an 18, just kind of fit into the square spot, and that got it, broke loose. It took a little bit of torque, but I was able to get it. So then you take your, try and keep that straight. Straight-ish. There you go. That's snugged up there. And that. So there you go. Your tie rod is on. And then your lower control arm, which is this big shiny aluminum one. I don't know why it's so shiny, but it is, and that's kind of cool. So, all right, so you take that, slip it up in there. That's where a hammer's going to come into play. You want to be out of the way of it and make it easier beating it in there. Okay, then you take your nut. These are all the same size here. You stick your nut in there. This actually has a spot for the nut to go, so that way it will hold itself in place. Just slide in there as a kind of a booger. Then you take your, so you take this in here. This in here is slightly longer. Just try to remember where you got it at, and start working that in there, like so. It can be a pain in the butt getting it back together, so keep that in mind when you're doing this. Put it in there like so. Everything should just slide right back together with no problem. Pretty much. And you take your, I don't know if you can see the floor where I'm working on, but it's a mess. It's full of tools. There are tools everywhere. So keep that in mind. These, I'm going to try to make it a point to put in the caption that they're 18 millimeter. So, 18 millimeter for the lower control arm mounts. And sucker in there. It started pretty good. You can start by hand pretty good, actually. Also, when you're taking the engine mounts loose, that's another thing. Another part of this side on the right side. Now, the driver's side won't be that bad. The passenger side, pain in the butt. You'll want to make sure you have a 15 millimeter and a good air impact. Really helps. Or electric impact, depending on what you have. So, keep that in mind. There's no room for a socket in here, so you definitely, if you don't have an 18 millimeter ratchet wrench, which would be just absolutely handy for what I'm doing right now, and you have to use a regular wrench, which isn't that big of a deal. It just takes a little bit longer, but you want to make sure it's good and tight. Alright, so the next part is going to be trying to get this back in. There is a nut that goes on top of each side, so and it's an 18 millimeter nut. Now the deal is, can I start that bolt? Well, one of you guys have bird's eye view, but the camera's in the way, so give me a minute. Okay, so the ideal is, can I start this bolt without too much headache? hopefully you can just kind of start it half-assed. Oh yeah, yeah, it's going together now. See, that sets in the way, but you might be able to put your clothes in on there, like so. I just realized something. You put your open in on there, you put your clothes in on there, and you're going to get stuck. So alright, so anyhow, you do that with both bolts. I'm going to go ahead and cut the camera off for the other bolt, and then I'll take you to the next part. Alright, again, now what I'm going to be working on is putting the wheel hub assembly back on. So to do that, you may want some grease to use some of this grease. This particular set of kit is the ball joints are sealed, so you don't have to grease them. They come pre-greased, which is kind of nice. But what you want to do is take your 36mm socket and your nut and start threading that on by hand. Should thread on relatively easy. I don't like using the impact if I don't have to, aside from the fact it's noisy as all get out, but my impact just, it's a Craftsman, it's okay, it does a good job. I bought it mainly for working on lawnmowers, but it's just, but you know, it does the job, it just doesn't do it the way I want it to. So I got a better impact coming here soon, I hope. You just kind of get that snugged up there. Then you will have to use your impact to finish snugging it up. It's not all the way on, as you can see. Stopped, so I'm going to assume it's tight. Yeah, it's tight. So I'll cut back here and just go. I got the ball joint bolt back in. I like these ball joint bolt things they make. They're so much better than than the old school stuff where you got to rip everything apart. Right, what we do is take a 15mm socket, and let's see if I remember right. I don't remember right. 15mm socket and a 17mm wrench for the bolt side of it. Take your air compressor or your impact, and there like so. And there you go, that'll be all snugged up. Then you want to take your, make sure that you put your grease insert on top of your tie rod and take your nut off. This is going to be, should be an 18 millimeter nut. It looks like the same size, so. Press it in there. You probably can't see this real well because this big panel in here, but alright, so anyhow, plug your air in. It's a 19 millimeter socket for the tie rod bolt, so it's good snug. Alright, then you take your cotter pin that comes with your kit and you take that and you shove it through the hole that they provide you. It helps take a pair of pliers, little pair of pliers, turn that thing straight. Just bend the other side. And there you go, your tie rod is in place. I'm going to go off camera here for a few minutes because I got to get the engine mount back in place and it's a pain in the ass, so I'll be right back. There we are. Got the lower control arm in, got the tie rod all tightened up, which I believe you guys seen that, got the ball joint all tightened up. I did the engine mount off camera because I had to fix a mistake I made earlier, so which wasn't too bad. I just shifted the engine mount a little bit. Take a look at this rotor. It was clean before it started raining. That little bit of rain just absolutely destroyed it. It's crazy. Which that'll all come off there once I drive it, so it isn't that big of a deal. These are good rotors, so. But anyways, put your, start reassembling your brakes, all that good stuff, and I believe I did all this off camera when I was taking it apart, so I'll tell you these bolts on the back side are 15 millimeter. So if you watch my how to install the caliper video, you'll see that. You get them started. And get them started, and then you get your 15 millimeter. Pretty sure that's it. Yep. Get these all snugged up nicely. And slowly it starts to look like a car again. Oh, that's a plus. Then you'll cut out this scene of me talking to the camera about cutting out. Alright, so there's that. And then what you want to do, evidently the steering wheel is turned a little bit. It's alright. Not a big deal. So you take your, before you try to put your caliper back on, you want to put your brake pads back on. So put those on like so. It's got grease on it from when I put the brake pads on here a while back, which is no big deal. I just kind of wiped it off because there's plenty of it there. So then you take your brake caliper. It should just slip right back on what it was. So you shouldn't have to push the caliper in. And you take your little 12mm bolts. These may be different on your vehicle. I don't know why GM did this for, but some of them are 12s, some of them are 13s, and I ran into 14s the other day. Couldn't believe that. It's kind of weird. I don't know why they do that, but that's GM for you. I stopped asking questions about GM a long time ago. So, anyways, I'm gonna pause. All right, so here we are, putting the strut back in. This is gonna be the fun part, is trying to get aligned just right and everything. So you're gonna see me up, down here. So let's keep that in mind. All right, so I got the strut in. I didn't have to undo these bolts like I thought I was going to have to. What it turns out to be is you set your, you get your, where the strut bolts, you get your lower strut bolts mounted in place first, and then you got to clock this to fit just right. So it takes you a few spins. All I used was a 22mm, and I put it on the center. I used a 1/2-inch drive, and I turned it until I had it clocked right. So that turned out being all it was. So then your nuts, you go back on there like so, and of course I still got to finish putting in the strut down below, and then we'll be good to go. So, anyways, while I got you here, really help me out if you guys could smash that like button down below. Really help get my channel out there. Positive feedback down the bottom would be great. You don't have to comment if you don't want to, but if you do, feel free to. You got any questions, comment those below. I typically reply within an hour, unless it's middle of the night and I'm asleep, or middle of the day, depending on what hours I'm working. Yeah. Trying to keep this video short, but it ain't going to happen. I believe it's probably going to be a 30-minute video. I'll try though. I'll try to cut her down some. Alright. So there's that. That's back together. So I still got to get the bolts in the strut the rest of the way, and nuts and all that, and tighten that stuff up. But the only other thing you have to put in that's brand new stuff is the sway bar link, and it just goes in there just like so. So it's real easy to do. 18mm nuts on this. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on because it's actually going to help me when I go to finish bolting up the strut. So anyway, so yeah, so that's it right there. I'll find another strut bolt. Strut bolt is right there in front of me. Getting this thing lined up is a problem. There we go. Alright, so there's that. Alright, so that is going to be it for this video. I still got to button up a couple things, just reversing all the minor stuff, putting the brake line back on, putting the ABS wire back on, which isn't no big deal. It's easy stuff to do, so I'm going to do that off camera. So anyways, like I said before, if you like the content you see, smash that thumbs up. Help get my channel out there. Comment below, questions, positive feedback is always great. I appreciate it. Subscribing, that's always a good one too. So subscribe to my channel to see more content like this. And thanks for watching. Also, at the end of this video real fast, it will be before or a video I recommend and a video that YouTube recommends. So you can click either one of those. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.